Welcome to Maybury State Park.
Maybury State Park is about 900 acres in size, and it is in Wayne County in the southern lower peninsula of Michigan. And it is, in fact, the first state park in Wayne County, and it has quite a varied history.
Yeah, long before it was a state park, it was actually home to a sanatorium that was used to treat tuberculosis patients. And it was created in 1921, and it actually ran all the way until 1969, which was a really long time, and I didn't even know we still had tuberculosis in 1969, but there were still a few cases left when it finally closed.
Yeah, they said there was, I think, an outbreak at a Garden Park daycare in 1969 was the last one that they treated here. But it was originally designed as a sanatorium to treat tuberculosis, and that's the buildings and things that were here on this property originally. And initially it was designed to take people from Detroit who had come down with tuberculosis and essentially quarantine them, get them out of the mainstream population and give them some place to live and to be treated.
Yeah, they didn't have antibiotics at the time, and so really the only care was rest, relaxation, and getting them out into fresh air, getting them away from other people. And they did have a few limited medical procedures that they could do, but really it was just about giving them some fresh air and space to relax. And
keeping them comfortable. I mean, they said from the stuff that we read, it was a terrible disease and that you could linger for months or even years. Yeah. There was really no treatment for it. So, but there were a lot of different buildings here. I mean, the doctors were here. There were nurses. There were
general staff, maintenance workers.
Different buildings for men and women. And then they had a children's unit that they opened.
And a working farm. That was one of the things that they created, was a farm to self-sustain. So they had their own food, milk production, pasteurization plant. And so while the buildings are not here anymore, I think of the original 40, there's only 4 left. The farm is still here. It is privately run now, so that is a separate entrance fee and a separate thing, but there are tours that you can take of that. But most of the place has been demolished and turned into the state park. But just the history is kind of cool because I didn't know that was a thing here.
Well, and it's named for William Maybury.
I think William.
William Maybury. Hopefully that was right. And to me, part of the history that was ironic is Mr. Maybury ended up dying of tuberculosis. So it's just kind of one of those odd things in history. But they said that he helped create the buildings that were here and gave the land, and the big part of it was the farm, which was part of the state park apparently at one time, but then got sold off. And so that is now a separate entity. But it's just a really neat place. There is no camping or anything here. It is a day use park only. But there's, quite a bit of history here to kind of walk around, ride around, and see different things. If you want to explore Maybury State Park, there are a lot of different ways to do it. There are hiking trails, there are mountain bike trails, equestrian trails. There are paved bike trails and gravel bike trails that aren't just the mountain bike. So if you just have a regular bike, you want to ride a gravel trail, you can do that as well.
Well, and the paved trails are actually multi-use. So there's people out walking with strollers, dogs. So the paved path is a little bit for everybody, actually.
It is, yeah, it's multi-use. And the equestrian trails, mountain bike trails, hiking trails, they all seem to crisscross and intersect at points. So as usual, be careful when you're out there and watch what you're doing and paying attention for what other people are doing. Along the trails, the bike trail, the hiking trail, there are historical markers that show where buildings used to be. There's really nothing left here at Maybury of the original buildings other than the one behind us, which was a doctor's residence. And I think they said there were 14 apartments here where doctors were living.
Yeah, this had 14 units where the doctors for the sanatorium lived. It's unfortunately set to be demolished. It is currently serving as the park headquarters and has been ever since the park opened in 1975. Cool.
So this has served as the headquarters since the park opened in 1975. Wow. And it looks like a house. Like you walk in and it's like a house.
Well, it was, right?
Yeah.
It was the doctor's residence.
Yep. So yeah, come up here.
Oh, this is cool.
Here's some of the old buildings that used to be here. This was like a whole city. There's thousands of people that lived here, and there's thousands of acres.
Oh, wow.
Or just under 1,000 acres. So they thought
a lot of buildings, yeah.
They used to think that fresh air cured tuberculosis. So just being out in the outdoors and getting fresh air before antibiotics were around. So they would send everyone here from the city of Detroit to clear their lungs.
But it sounds like they have an asbestos problem. It's falling apart. So we're going to lose the last remaining building from the sanatorium, which is too bad, but
yeah,
I guess get out here while it's still here if you wanted to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where it's a really unique building and it's got some history to it. I don't know how well it operates as an office.
No.
They've been using it as headquarters for many years, but it is a converted house, so that makes it a little bit difficult too. But that's going to be the last building, and then once that comes down, it'll all be to history and just signs to read.
What's really cool is that even though the buildings aren't here from the sanatorium anymore, they still have these historical markers that they've put up to talk about what was here, what buildings were here, what they were used for, a little bit more about the history, how many people worked here, what happened. The one we're standing at right now is where the children's camp was, which was used for underprivileged children who were in the early stages of tuberculosis, and they were brought here to help them get better. And then they thought through exercise and good nutrition, they'd get strong and healthy and be able to then go on with their lives. So just kind of cool to walk along and see what we can read on the signs. Maybury State Park seems to be very popular. There are a lot of people out here today. So whether you're here for biking, taking your dog for a walk, pushing your kid in a stroller, there just seems to be a lot of different trails and a lot of different things for you to do here.
Yeah, it's in a very populated area. I mean, it is in Wayne County, and when you're on the outskirts of the park by the headquarters and others, you'll hear road noise and that kind of thing. But once you're in the interior of the park, it's really quiet. It's very peaceful. It seems like people kind of come to get away from the hustle and bustle out of Wayne County and the Oakland County area and come to this park to just enjoy some quiet time. It is day use only. There's no camping or anything here, but there's quite a few different places where there's picnic tables and grills, and there's different sort of pockets of either large areas with grass, and there's a play area in one spot, but there's also, as you go along the different trails, there'll just be a bench or just a single picnic table all by itself. So it's kind of a nice way to just sort of kick back and take a break and kind of get away from city life a little bit.
Yeah, and I saw a number of people out here with binoculars and cameras. Birding seems to be another popular thing here. So definitely check this one out. They also hold races here. Apparently there was a big trail race here this morning with 700 some people. So definitely a lot going on here on different days. They've got a whole schedule of activities that they partner with the local community on. So movies in the park and some other activities that you might want to check out if you live near here.
And no matter where you live, keep on trekking, and we'll see you out there.